Tara Fowler. I'm from Graves County High School, and I'm here today to talk to you about Desmos and all of the different things that it can do for you as a teacher. And I wanted to make sure that you're aware that it really is a math um, platform. However, I use it for much more than math, and you'll see if you finish watching this video, you'll see all the different things that you can do with Desmos aside from the math part. I will say that if you want to see the math part in detail, you can go to Kentucky Go Digital and find Allie Garner, and she is focusing on Desmos and the math part and all of the math things that it does. But I am focusing on creating activities and lessons and teaching you how to go that route no matter what subject you teach. So let's dive in. So first of all, why Desmos? Of course, in the pandemic, we were all struggling with knowing how in the world to connect with our students and keep them coming and knowing what they were doing. It was just a big struggle. And so I just searched and searched, and finally I found Desmos. And the more it just happened to be a math website, but the more I got involved with it and just played around with it, the more I really ended up loving it. And so, why Desmos? Because you can pace it as the teacher, or the students can pace themselves. You can create meaningful lessons and activities, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. There are multiple representations, and we're going to go through and look at those representations. This is for any subject and any grade level. So yes, Desmos is math friendly, and it is a math website. However, I have used it for department meetings and for all kinds of things that are not necessarily math. So it's for any subject and any grade level. And yes, I'm at the high school, but I can really see this being beneficial for elementary and middle school also. You can give real-time feedback, and I'll show you how to do that once we get into all of the tools. You can do this synchronously or asynchronously, and I've done both, and both of them work very well as long as you're prepared for whichever one you're going to do. And like I said, there are lots of math tools and a graphing calculator, but Allie Garner is going over those. We'll briefly talk about them, but if you want more details on that, you'll want to watch Allie's. And for those of you who are math teachers and who have to give the K-Prep, Desmos is actually the platform that is used for the calculator part on K-Prep. And so you will definitely want to know what all Desmos is capable of. Okay, today you will be a student in the sense that you will see what students see when they are completing the lesson or activity, but you will also switch and become the teacher and learn the basics of creating your own lesson and activity, and look at to see from the teacher viewpoint, what does it look like? The pros and cons. Okay, so there's many more pros than there are cons, and more pros than that are on here. But the biggest ones that I take note of are the fact that, excuse me, that there are lots of different tools that you can use through Desmos. That, like I said, the teacher can pace it, or the student can pace it. You have the capability of making all answers anonymous so that you can compare student answers on the screen without anybody knowing who said what. And you can give real-time feedback. And there's many more. And then the cons are that it's not really a fancy or cute platform. It's not a lot of ways to make it fancy or cute. I understand this from the math background. We're not really fancy or cute people. Some of us, I'm not. But that is a con if you are very creative. But as you can see, I still managed to make it a little cute. So it's doable. It just takes a little bit more work. And then also, the only way to edit it once it is published is to copy and edit the copy. And actually, Desmos, since I created this, Desmos has updated that to where you can edit it, but you still have to republish. And when you republish, you get a different link, and you'll have to do a different link for your students. So just know that Desmos is updating things regularly. And so as soon as maybe you figure out something, they'll update it, and in a good way, like it'll make it more user friendly. But you'll just have to learn that as you go. Okay, before we get going, what I would like for you to do is I am going to show you your link. And normally when I do this, I do it live, and so I get to actually interact with my students or with the teachers who are doing a session like this. But since this is recorded, I can't interact with you, but I do kind of want you to see what's happening from the student standpoint. And so if you will, I would like for you to go ahead and join this. And actually, I need to go back. Okay, so and the way that you would join this lesson is you can go to student.desmos.com and type in that password. I don't think that's really a space there. Or you can just go ahead and type in the URL right here, and that will automatically put you as a student, and then you can go through this on your own just like a student would. So, of course, I'm doing student pacing and not teacher pacing here. I will say that you don't have to do this. You can just watch this video, and we're going to start off with the student perspective anyway, and then go to the teacher perspective. But if you actually want to interact and do it, you can go here and do it on your own time. And so from there, I want to tell you we are going to, like I said, going to do the student view, and then we're going to switch over to the teacher view. And so right now, what I have on my screen is the student view. So if you were to go into that website that I just showed you, this is what you would see as the student. And I just made my screen larger by doing this. I'm going to make it smaller so I can see my background stuff. So from the student view, here are we're going to just discuss the things that you can do, the different kind of tools I told you about. And I'm going to maybe type some things in as if I were the student, but again, you can do this on your own. There are lots of check-in screens. I like to do this to start my lesson when I use Desmos because I think it just kind of tells me the students will tell me and be honest if they're in a bad mood, and a lot of times they'll tell me why they're in a bad mood, and so it kind of helps set the stage for me in my lesson to know, okay, I need to be a little more gentle with this student today or a little more patient. And so I love to do these check-in screens. I did not create this on my own, although I could have. What I did is I just searched in Google Desmos check-in screens or starter screens, and I got to pick from whatever ones. So again, as the student, this is what they see, and then they get to use the slider and just tell me which one they are feeling today. And so I'm going to pick that one, and then I have them explain, and then they can submit. And this little thing right here is for you to be able to type math, and it shows up pretty much everywhere. And that's, again, why it is a math platform. However, we can use it in all subjects. All right, so I just edited that as a student. And then I'm going to the next screen. So you can do check-in slides. You can also make it to where students draw on any background that you would like for them to draw on. And I see this very beneficial in science classes or in any class where you want them to label something. And so I have just uploaded a picture, and I want to draw an additional piece. So I'm going to change my color to green, and I am going to draw a sailboat. And again, this is just to show you what all this can do. So you can have them draw anywhere on your picture. You can also have them type anything that you would like for them to type, so they can move their little text box anywhere they want to. This tool is just the line tool where they can actually connect dots or draw lines or whatever they need to do. Of course, here's your math friendly button where they can type in math if they wanted to type in math. And it makes it a nice, pretty fraction. And then here's your eraser tool. So, along with being able to do check-in slides, you can also do slides where students can draw. All right, so the next thing that we have is the text input. So like to say their device is not really easy to draw with, or they're not good at it. You can always have them enter in text. And so what I usually do when I do this is I usually put more than one question, and I have them number their answers so that I can go and look at what all they say. And then from there, okay, so on the last slide or 2 slides ago, I did not give them an option to share with the class because I did not want the whole class to see how they were feeling. But there are times where I do want them to see each other's answers. And so as the teacher, there's a setting that I can click, and I want them to share with class. So I'll click share with class. And it doesn't allow them to see all of the classmates, but it does allow to see 3 or 4. And that's beneficial because they kind of know whether or not they're on target or they're thinking similarly, or it kind of lets them know, especially in math, if you get 4x squared and the answer is 10x squared and everybody else got 10x squared, I've done something wrong. Let me go check. So that's kind of a way of them to self-check with comparing with other people's answers. All right, exploring the math input. Okay, so this is an option within the activity building or lesson building in Desmos. And so, like I said, Ellie Garner will be doing more of the math part, but I did want to show you this part where it just makes math a whole lot easier. So normally, if you are in the student, if you've signed in, you could click this keyboard. Okay, it did come up. So 3h to the 4th plus 4h to the 4th is 7. And then I'm going to click ABC, H, go back to main, and the exponent is right there to the 4th power. So the keyboard allows them to do very user-friendly math symbols as well. And that's why I love Desmos. And then I'm going to submit that answer, and then I have to explain what I did. Now, that's just an extra option. As a teacher, you can make them explain, or you don't have to make them explain. And then I click submit. The next tool would be a multiple choice tool where from the teacher standpoint, you can create a multiple choice quiz if you would want to, and it will actually put check marks beside the ones that are correct. It will not give you a percentage, but you could go through and do the percentage yourself, but it will grade them for you. Well, at least check them for you. And so you just have them click whichever one, and then you can have them explain if you'd like. That's, again, just your choice. So there's an option that you'll get to explain your thinking, and you click that box if the teacher wants them to explain the thinking, or you don't have to. And then share with class. Again, another option that you can have, but you don't have to. All right, the next one is check boxes. And I realize sometimes a multiple choice can have more than one answer, or you just kind of want to get an idea. And so with check boxes, you can check all that apply. And then as the teacher point of view, you'll be able to see who's saying what the most. So that's another option that you have when building your lesson or activity. Another option would be ordering a list. And so you can do this any way that you'd like with any kind of list that you would like. And so we want to order from favorite season to least favorite season. And the students just drag. And there's no submit here because the teacher can see what's happening as they're doing it. Again, I will not go into a ton of math stuff because Allie will. By the way, if you notice down here, there's a teacher move thing. And so I've made myself a note. And so when you're the student, you see teacher moves, you can kind of give them hints if you'd like to down here. And so the note just says, to get the most out of the math features, please watch Allie Garner's Using Desmos to Engage Students with Math. Okay. And so again, not going to do a ton with this, but I'm going to show you what it does within the lesson. We're going to plot the points. So you could plot. And again, if you don't have a great way to do this, it's not really all that pretty sometimes. And then we can connect the dots. I won't go through all this because you get the understanding of it, but I'm going to connect using the line tool because I can draw straight lines. And that's another option. Of course, you can change the color, you can erase, you can do the text box, but you can graph all kinds of things using Desmos within the activity builder. Okay, the calculator part. Okay, so you've done this, and this acts as a calculator also, but I also want to show you that this part right here is the calculator part. And this is not automatically embedded within each lesson. And so I'm going to show you when we get to the teacher part how to embed this if you want the scientific calculator. And so all it does is it pops up right here. And if you want to do the fraction 2/5, you got to click 2 and then 5. And then some of this you just learn as you go because every calculator kind of does things differently. And so it'll give you the answer as a decimal. And if you don't want the answer as a decimal, you'll just click over here, 3/5. And then when you're sharing with the class, you can go to the fraction and type in 3/5 and then share with the class. And so they see both answers, the fraction and the decimal. So that's another neat feature as well. Okay, another aspect of Desmos or another tool is that you can have the students fill in the tables. If you want them to collect data or if you want them to read and fill out a table, you can do this. And so there's no submit here because you can see what they're typing in as they type in. And so this, you can come up with the category or you can have them come up with their own categories. And again, you see what they're filling out as they do it. So there's no submit. Okay, one of my favorite tools in Desmos is the card sort. And I can see this used in elementary school a whole lot and has nothing to do with math. But a lot of times I won't even give them a category or the categories, and I just tell them to sort it. And then they sort however they want to. And then it just leads to good discussion. See these two cards connected. So what they do is you just slide them wherever you want and they connect if you want them to. You don't have to connect them. But it's a really cool feature. And as the teacher, you can see what everybody is, how they're sorting, and then kind of create some discussion based on the different kinds of sorts. So again, a really neat feature. Again, teacher moves, if you look, if you want to get the most out of the math, you want to go see Allie Gardner. But I do, again, want to show you that I can embed this math into my activity. And so what this does is it allows you can slide. You can even add a table over here, and when you add your table, it will automatically plot the points as you go. So again, another math tool that I'm not going to go into detail with, but Allie Garner will. For K-Prep, for you math teachers, just know that Desmos is the platform that's used for K-Prep. However, the regular Desmos offers a lot more than what the K-Prep. K-Prep kind of limits a little bit. So you'll want to make sure that you go to your practice test and see how Desmos is limited on the test versus how much access you are allowed to give them just in a regular Desmos assignment or activity. All right, one of my favorite features again is sometimes at the end of a lesson, I have them upload a selfie, and they give me all kinds of different funny pictures. And some of them don't want to do a selfie, but they'll do an emoji or they'll do a Bitmoji, and that's completely fine. And so over here are the directions, and it took us a while to actually get this done. I actually had them do it on some of our snow days for them to just upload a picture of them playing in the snow, and a lot of them did it, and it was just a fun way of seeing what they do outside of the classroom. But even in the classroom, I would have them upload a selfie, so they would click the plus sign and they would add an image, and then they can go from there. So I love seeing their pictures. Now, I also use this for their work, so they can like hold up their work and take a picture of their work as well. And so that's nice. All right, all of that was just looking from the student view, and I did each one of them for you so that you could see how the student would do it. But again, if you went to that link, you could experience that for yourself. But now we're going to transition to the teacher view, and I'm going to teach you how to actually build a lesson and or an activity. They call them activities. I call them lessons, but how to build an activity and just the very basics. So when you're getting started, you're going to want to go to teacher.desmos.com, or you can just search Teacher Desmos. And my account will automatically come up because I have an account, but you will want to create your own. So Teacher Desmos is probably the first thing that will come up. And your screen will look like this, except for my name is right here, so I'm already signed in. But you'll have a way to create an account. And so you just click the create account, and if you are a Google school, then you can use Google, but you don't have to. You can use email. I used Google, but again, you don't have to. And so if you look over here, this on the left is really how you get to stuff. This in the middle is just things that Desmos offers. Like I didn't create any of these, but this is what your featured collections and your featured activities are for right now. And those will change. And I mentioned starter screens earlier, so they have starter screens right there. But also if you Google starter screens on Desmos, different ones will show up. And so to start creating your activity, your very first lesson, what you'll do is you will come down to custom activities and click that. And if you come over here, you have this new polygraph, which we'll talk about that later. And then you also have new activities. So I'm going to just create a new activity, and you can title it, of course, whatever you'd like. You can describe it however you'd like. And then I'm going to click create new activity. And when I do this, again, we're working as the teacher, we're building our own activity. Every time this screen shows up. So this right here in the middle tells me that I haven't done anything yet. And these over here on the side are all of my different options. Remember, we talked about the text input and the math input, the multiple choice, check boxes, ordered lists, the graph, the sketch. The media we'll talk about. We did do a table. Haven't done a ton with the action button, and honestly, I don't know exactly what it does, so I haven't used that yet. And so this is your first slide. And right now you haven't clicked anything over here, so it will show up. So here's the thing. One of the most important tips I can give you is to make sure that you always go and preview the lesson before you publish it, because it happens time and time again for me, and I forget, and I end up publishing something that I don't give the students access to comment or respond on. And so here's what I mean. When I click note, this note is just to give students directions or to ask their questions. So it's a note from me to the students, and this is what it will look like. Okay, so when I preview it, if note is all I click, where are you from? And then I go to do it as a student, and I can't because the teacher hasn't allowed me any way to respond. So the note does not allow for any responses. But what you do is you can put as many of these in this screen as possible. So if I want them to respond, I'm going to click text input, and that's for them to, of course, input their text. If you look right here, there's nothing below this, and so it shows me as the teacher I haven't given the students a chance to respond. By the way, you can title this however you would like to title it, and this is what it shows up. So I got to give them a chance to respond, and watch right here when I click text input. Now all of a sudden, right here, I have a way, and I see that the students have to answer my question. And so basically it stacks on top of each other. And so I've got to move this over. To get it out of the way. If you'll look down here, it says show students their classmates' responses. You can have them show the students by clicking the box, or you can unclick the box and you're the only one who can see their answer. And so it doesn't really matter where they're from, so I'll leave it there. And then really they can't see all of the responses. They can only just see 3 or 4 responses from their peers. And so I check to make sure I have everything the students can respond, and then I can add another slide. And so I always start with a note of giving them directions, but you certainly do not have to. If you start with just text input and then you want to do the question up here, you can. And then, of course, you can check that box or not check the box. Okay, so we can slide it, we can change the different ways of orders if you would like. And now a lot of times I'll get them all up there and then I'll decide the order later. Let's see. So we'll just look at the multiple choice. When we go here, you can add the question. And then you can have your different options. You can of course, this is an opinion question, but if it was a question that had right or wrong, you could click the correct answer. And this is where the Desmos will put a check mark if you get it right. And I'll show you that viewpoint in just a little bit. And then you can always ask the students to explain their answer, or they don't have to. It's just really whatever you would like for them to do. So there's the multiple choice. The check boxes, same kind of thing. And you can add a graph, or you can add an image. And whenever I did that one that you guys saw, which one do you hope comes back, I just added the image and just picked from screenshots that I had clipped and saved. And so you can do the same thing, and then let's see, have them check as many as they would like. Ordered list would be your next one. And I'm going to order from least to greatest. And then we can do, now it doesn't have to be numbers like the other one, from your favorite season to your least favorite season. So it doesn't have to be numbers or anything like that. But then what they do, if I preview it, is they just slide it. And then your topics come up there. For the graph, you just can click edit graph, or click the graph, and then let's see, over here you can have them sketch on the graph, and this is what happens if you have them sketch like that. You can also have them do the graphing calculator, where they would actually type in whatever they're wanting to type in, and then when you preview it, that's where it is. So you could show them the graph, and then they could add a table, and from their table they could plot points, and you could see. So lots of options you could do with the graph. You can delete the component. If I delete it, it just means it goes back to your normal screen. So let's say I want them to graph, but then I also want them to do something else. So graph y equals 2x minus 1, then explain what the slope means in this situation. So you don't have to do just one of these each time. You could go forever and ever. You could even add a multiple choice, and then here's what it would look like. It would look like you got to graph it, then you explain, and I didn't put anything for multiple choice. But when you preview it, they've got all these things. They graph, then they explain, and then they pick whatever from the multiple choice. So again, you don't just have to do one of them. You can do as many as you would like. Let's see. The next one would be the sketching, and this is probably my all-time favorite tool of Desmos. I'm trying to get this out of the way, because it just allows, especially in math where things are not, sorry, I can't get out of this. Okay. So it just allows for them to be creative. And like, again, if I wanted them to, well, let's just do the original. Right now, if I just leave it like that, watch what happens. They can draw whatever they want. Let's say I want to give them directions. It says sketch a pic of yourself. So to leave them any kind of note, I just click the note, and so this is what they see, and they're going to sketch a picture, and then they can describe themselves with the text mark, with the text box, I should say. And so you can do lots of things with this. Again, one of my favorite tools, because what I do here is sometimes I don't leave it blank. Sometimes I can have them do the graph, or I will, like I had you guys do earlier, I will take a picture and add it, and sketch whatever. And so from here, they can sketch whatever they want to, or label or whatever. So it's super, super neat, and lots of options there. All right, so for the media, what this does is it allows you to add pictures or videos. And so I could see using this in a flipped classroom where they actually watch the video first, and then after that, they answer questions and just interact with you however you would like for them to. And so you do, again, have the option to upload an image or a video. When you click this, let's just say I'm going to upload a picture. When you click it and you go to preview it, it does not allow for the students to do anything. So if you want to see a picture and then you want them to explain, you would say, and then you would have to give them a way to explain. And so if you look, explain what this means to you, and then I click the box where they share with the class, but you can unclick it. So just know that if you just do media, it does not allow them to respond. You have to do a little bit more than that. And then we've kind of looked at the table. You can create the table. You can add the categories. They can add the categories. It doesn't really matter. It gives you options over here that you can do. So a lot of times if you'll just click these blue dots, the blue dots can kind of explain some things to you, and you can figure out a lot of stuff from the blue dots. All right, so for teacher tips, let's say that I wanted to remind them or remember to use vocab words. And then if I wanted to give them some tips, then what I would do is they see down here, remember to use vocabulary words. And so that's what this whole teacher moves things does, or teacher tips does for you. Now you can duplicate or delete any screen that you would like. I actually do duplicate a good bit, and sometimes because it keeps me from having to type some things over and over again, so I duplicate a good bit. And again, you can kind of like move the order however you'd like. Super easy to do that. Let's scroll down here. So when we add another one, we have the option to do your graphing calculator if you wanted that. And you also have the option down here for a card sort. And so the card sort, you decide whether you want math or text, no pictures. If you want a picture, it's super easy. You click image, and then you add whatever image you want. And then you add another image if you like. And then if you want to have them, say, sort that way, you can. Again, sometimes you don't even have to give them categories. And so you can kind of do all kinds of things with this card sort, and this is what it looks like. And they're all different all the time, and you just move them however you would like and go from there. So I really like that feature also. You can play around with the answer key and the graphs. We do a lot of sorting of graphs too, and that promotes a lot of discussion when they sort graphs different ways. So that's all about creating a lesson. Let's say we've gone through, we previewed, we're happy with it. So what we do now, let's before I publish. So if you'll notice from the preview, there is no calculator up here. If you want them to have the calculator, you come over here to the title and just click it. And once you get there, you see this box down here, Enable Scientific Calculator, and save. And then all of a sudden, that calculator shows up on every screen right there. So that's another way. Also, you can, like I said before, add your description if you would like. So I'm going to publish it. And once I publish it, I have the option just to like send a link for everybody, or I have the option to assign to classes. So I can assign a single session code, which is what I did for you at the beginning. But I already have classes made up, so I'm going to assign to my classes, and I'm just going to pick whatever classes I want, assign, and when I do that, I can take their student link and I can copy and paste it into Google Classroom, or I can do it into Schoology, whatever platform you want to do it on. You can copy and paste the link so that literally they go to the same place every day to find their assignment. And so you can do that. Let's see. To actually see what the students are typing in real time, you can view dashboard. So like if I assign this for second block and we're in second block, I would click view dashboard and all of their names will show up as they sign in and as they start. And I'm actually going to go to a different one where they have, but this is where I would see a whole lot of stuff. But I'm going to go to a different one so that you can just kind of see. Right now I have their regular names on, and so I'm going to anonymize so that nobody sees their names. And so if you look, some of their names are funny. But from this screen, what I did, remember, is I just clicked the view dashboard. So I already had it open. Let's just do that. I'll go back so that you can see that part. All right, so let's say I just want to find the activity that they're working on. I've lost it. I can't find it. I go to custom activities, and that particular one was review matrices, and I can see these students have done it. So I'm going to just click view dashboard. And I'm going to anonymize as soon as it catches up. All right. And so right away, I can see which students have logged on. I can see which ones have done which questions and which ones only did numbers 1 and 2. I can see lots and lots of stuff here. And you can see what kind of assignment I gave them. I gave them the sketch every single time. This was just one where I wanted to look at their answers real quick, but I wanted them to do it by hand on paper. So they did it on paper and then put their answers on here. So this is the summary, and you can see again a lot of things happening here. You can also click pacing, and you can restrict to screen 1, or you can have them go from screen 1 to screen 4, or you can just let them go at their own pace. It's really whatever you'd like to do. And then pause. If you pause the activity, it means that nobody can do any more work until you unpause it. So if you wanted to continue the lesson the next day, then and keep people from working on it overnight, then you would just click pause and then unpause it when you were ready to unpause it. So another feature that we have is snapshots. So let's say that I'm looking at, first of all, this is the summary. I want to do the teacher viewpoint. So from the teacher viewpoint, I can see all of the students who've answered this, and I can very quickly tell you if any of them have done it incorrectly because I see all of their work at the same time. So I look, and clearly this answer looks different from this answer. And so we would have to talk, and let's say this Ruth, I wanted to leave her a message, some feedback, and I'd click on her, whatever one I want to leave feedback on, and I click this little comment box, and I'd say, go back and check. Let me know if you need help. And so they get that, and what it looks on my end is this little green triangle comes up in the corner, and it tells me that I've left feedback there, but she has not yet checked it because it's green. I know that she's checked it when it turns gray. And so that's the real-time feedback where as they're working, you can actually type them a message and say, okay, You need to go back and look at this, and then you can tell that they've seen it if it's turned gray. Let's see. Another aspect from the teacher's standpoint is the snapshots. So let's say I want to snapshot this one and this one. And you could do up to 4. I think it'll hold up to 4. And you want to compare these two and show the students, okay, somebody got this answer and somebody get this answer. And I could even have discussion, well, how would this person get this answer versus this person do, who's right? How do you know they're right? And so it really promotes class discussion when you compare answers. And again, the anonymized tool doesn't really, it makes it to where like it's okay, even if we get it wrong, nobody's going to know that that was you anyway. And so that is the snapshot feature. The student feature up here just lets me as the teacher show it on the screen from the student standpoint, and I could type in the answer or teach from this as well. So we've taken care of anonymize, pacing and pause, snapshots, summary, teacher and student. And let's see where I am here. We've created an activity. One thing I wanted to let you know is I wanted to show you that when you go to, you can, by the way, open as many teacher Desmoses as you want to. I use this all the time. But let's say you don't have any classes, but you need classes. So you would just go to classes on your home screen, and you would add a new class. And the really neat thing about this, and by the way, you add a new class and they would put in a code, and as they put in a code, that's how they get in. You can enter them by hand, but no need to really, because they can just put in the code. Another neat thing about this is the fact that I can add my co-teacher, and adding my co-teacher gives her access to everything that I have access to, and so she can be on the assignment at the same time and be giving feedback at the same time as me. And so it was really helpful when we were closed for those 3 weeks and for our snow days where we were on Zoom and the students were working, and she would be giving feedback at the same time I was giving feedback, but to different students. So having her, your co-teacher, and she could edit the activity. She's got full access to anything in this class, and it was super, super helpful. So I would definitely recommend you doing that. And the way that you do that is you go to your classes and you can click right here and you can manage co-teachers. So you could add or take away a co-teacher. So I'm going to go back to home. So now you can create your own activity. You can add a class and assign to your class. A collection is just like, let's say I had Algebra 2 and Geometry. I wanted the geometries to be together and the Algebra 2s to be together. So those were my collections, and you could create it however you like. And let me make sure I have taken care of everything that I need to. All right, so the very last thing that I would like just to tell you about this is that if you go in and enter as a student, like I showed you at the beginning, you can just click this and just a basics video, basically what this is. But it's a video that I've done in the past that will help if you need a little bit more support. Or if you didn't join as a student, you can just type this out and it's a video. The same video, I just showed it 2 different ways. And then I want to tell you there's so much more that Desmos does, but if you go in and play around with it, you'll find that out. And I absolutely love it. It's been such a helpful tool for me, especially during our snow days and during our 3-week closure. I didn't really get into it a ton until after the school year started. this past school year. But it's been super helpful for me both in the classroom when the students are in person and when the students were not in person. One thing I want to mention is the Facebook group. If you join the Facebook group, you learn so much stuff from it, and you can ask a question. Hey, how do I do this? Hey, I'm unsure how to do this. And everybody on there is willing to help um, answer any question that you have. And plus, they just post things like, hey, did you know that Desmos does this? Oh, so I have found myself reading, and that's how I've learned a lot of my information. And then also, it's just a coding thing, and Desmos allows you to code your own lessons if you want to. I can't code, so I've never tried it. But people get on the Facebook and say, hey, I'm trying to code this. Can you help? And if you're a coder, then you would enjoy coding your own lessons as well. But again, you can completely get by without coding a lesson ever. And then one key that you would want to know is that if you search within Desmos for, let's say, I wanted to teach quadratics, and we'll say factoring quadratics. If I search factoring quadratics within Desmos, I only have a few to choose from because those are the Desmos approved activities. But if I go to Google search and I Google search Desmos factoring quadratics, I have all of the access to the other teachers, any teacher who has made it public. And then I can look at theirs and I can either copy or I can just copy and paste a certain screen. By the way, if you click this right here, this will copy the screen, and then I could go into my teacher activity and paste the screen into whatever activity I wanted to. So that's this right here. But again, a key is to search in Google and not necessarily Desmos, because Google will give you a ton more information. I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to email me if you've got any questions at all. Tara.fowler@graves.coschools.us. And thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great day.